Here's what's coming up on your horizon. Well, I've covered public education for going on close to a quarter of a century. And in that time, I've seen a dramatic shift in opinions about charter schools, from one of suspicion to one of hope that these free, tax-supported public schools could be part of the answer to improving educational outcomes around the state. This week, we'll spend our time inside one of the highest performing schools in Oklahoma. It's called KIPP Academy, and it's an educational model that some believe could hold many of the answers to success on a much wider scale. Stay with us for Oklahoma Horizon.
Oklahoma Horizon is made possible by the Oklahoma Department of Career and Technology Education.
Oklahoma's investment in career tech provides more than nationally recognized technology education and training. It produces solid financial returns for the state's economic future. Oklahoma Career Tech, elevating our economy.
And the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping good people grow good things. And now, from the Career Tech Studios in Stillwater, here's your host, Rob McClendon.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Horizon. Well, over the past decade, we've seen a dramatic growth in charter schools in Oklahoma's major metro areas. Now, typically, these schools are private-public partnerships that don't charge students tuition, but do receive taxpayer support. And probably none of these charters have received more positive attention than a school located in one of Oklahoma City's toughest neighborhoods. KIPP Academy is part of a national network of schools started by teachers that offers free, open enrollment college preparatory classes predominantly to underserved communities. In an area where very few schools are making the grade, one school stands out. In Northeast Oklahoma City, KIPP Reach College Preparatory is a 5th through 8th grade charter school that's one of the state's highest performing campuses. But Principal Tracy McDaniel says it hasn't always been that way.
Taught 5 years, and then I got the job in this building downstairs when it was a middle school, and it was the lowest performing school in the state of Oklahoma at that time. So my mandate was to turn that school around, and that first year, we did that. The year I was there, but the reality, it was a sad reality that all the stakeholders involved, the superintendent, the state superintendent, the newspaper, the parents, the kids, they're all elated. And I'm thinking, we have the lowest performing school that passed the test now, and the people are so happy. So it was low expectations from my own community. And so I wanted to do better. At the same time, the KIPP Foundation knocked on my door and said, hey, why don't you start a KIPP school in your same community? So now we started the KIPP school. I'm back in the same building, so I come full circle. And we have one of the highest performing schools in the state of Oklahoma.
A distinction that has made it a frequent stop for education reformers.
To be able to accelerate the learning.
Former Florida governor and rumored presidential candidate Jeb Bush spent the afternoon here with Governor Mary Fallin.
Even though we had all these experiences with these teachers, that teacher will always say, I'm glad to have you. Like, you're a great experience of my life. I'm glad I came here.
To learn how a once failing school in a poverty-stricken urban area could go from last to first in achievement in just a few years. So what's the difference between low performing and high performing?
I would say this, it's not the kids. And so you can't control who comes to you, but we can control what we teach, how we deliver instruction. And so the biggest key for me, the KIPP Foundation trained me for a solid year to replicate the success of those 2 flagship schools. So I would say the staff is the key that makes this school work, and we have a really great staff here.
Now we'll hear more from KIPP's principal, Tracy McDaniel, as well as introduce you to some of the KIPP Academy teachers a bit later on in our show. But when we return, we meet some students whose lives have changed thanks to lessons learned at KIPP.
You're watching Oklahoma Horizon, featuring some of the good things that are happening in the great state of Oklahoma.
According to U.S. Census data, roughly 1 in 3 young Americans have earned a college degree. But for students who have grown up in poverty, that number drops all the way down to less than 1 out of 10. And what this means is too many young people are locked out of many of the opportunities education provides simply because of where they were born. Our Andy Barth talks to some KIPP Academy students who believe demographics don't have to determine destiny.
Who are the people that are the most directly impacted
At first
by the quality of
glance,
education?
it's a typical classroom.
You guys are
Yet
the
these
number
students
one
are paving their
stakeholders in
way
education.
to a life of fulfillment.
What are other stakeholders?
KIPP is the future.
Darvion Jones is an alumnus of KIPP Academy, yet his start to the program wasn't simple.
I came from a terrible school. I was one of the only people that spoke English in my school. They had to teach me how to speak fluent Spanish just to walk around and communicate. And then after I left, I ended up coming here, and I was only reading on the 3rd grade level, and I was in the 5th grade. So everybody was ahead of me. I was like, what am I going to do? So then I had to make an individual plan for myself that the teacher set up, which is great. The teachers and staff is great. So we set up an individual plan. I was reading at least after my 5th week of KIPP, after my 5th week, first year I was there, I was reading at least 5 books every month, and they were over 300 pages.
Yet even with his success, daily life for Jones isn't always easy. KIPP Academy is located just 3 blocks from Jones' home, an area plagued with crime.
Just about 3 days ago, someone got shot, probably the next house down. But my mom says we can't let that distract us. My mom says, of course, we don't have the money to go, and we don't have nowhere to go because she's not financially ready for that move. So in my mind, I'm like, the only way we can make it or get out is I'm not about to sell drugs. My mom doesn't want me to sell drugs. I'm not gonna lie. There was a point in time where I was like, Mama, do I have to do this to make it? Do we have to do this? And Mama said, no, we're not gonna do that. Supposed to be there.
Instead, Jones focuses on his future that began to change once inside KIPP Academy.
I used to want to be an owner of a fast food restaurant before I came to KIPP. KIPP is what changed my thought and process. So as I study, as I'm going on with KIPP, I didn't find that I want to be a heart surgeon until the 7th grade, because you can do something that only makes you feel good in your soul, but you're helping somebody else survive. And I want to feel that.
He's doing the finger waves, so.
And for teacher Betsy Blanks, KIPP Academy helps defy the odds, proving anyone can be successful.
A lot of our students are dealing with some really challenging situations, and it can be really easy to allow them to make excuses for themselves because of what they're going through. And I think after going through my first year, that was what I learned, is that there's a way to be empathetic without allowing them to get away with things and not work as hard as they should be working.
A harsh reality, but one that Blank says must be heard.
On a national level, we aren't holding our students to high enough expectations, and the future of our country is at stake.
And for KIPP alumna Jackie Boone, high expectations weren't encouraged until she started at KIPP.
When I came to KIPP, I was actually challenged for the first time, and I met people who were on the same level that I was on and who wanted to explore new things and expand their lexicon and everything just like I wanted to do. So KIPP, when I came, it was just amazing. It was an eye-opener. You're going to actually have to work now. No more being bored in class.
Or at home.
2 hours of homework every night, sometimes more. You eat, you sleep, you do your homework. That's it. KIPP is pretty much your life when you come here.
Leaving very little time for a social life. Yet for Jones, there's always a little time to dance.
I do hip-hop and jazz. I like to freestyle, do my little own thing.
Yet when the music stops, Boone says it's hard work and dedication that pays off.
You're always going to have to do hard work. You're not just going to be able to get by in life. And so KIPP has really taught me that. You're going to actually have to put in work. And so my friends at other schools, they just can get by with making an F in class and think it's okay. So since they were taught to be lazy in school, they think that's what it's going to be like in life. But when they get that reality check, it's going to be hard.
And as far as college and a career, Boone is aiming high.
I'm looking into Spelman, Columbia, Stanford, and Harvard. And then after college, I want to become an attorney because I want to fight for people who don't necessarily have a voice.
And for this future attorney and heart surgeon, success can happen for anyone from anywhere.
It is possible coming from an inner city school to do great things and be great.
I used to think demographics determine a person's destiny. I really did. I felt like if you were from a low-income place or area that you weren't going to make it. But now I have that mindset that you can actually grow up out of this. Like, KIPP can send you to college. College is freedom. If you do everything, you can have that money to where you can just spread it around for not only you, for others. You can be the best person that you can be. And I want that.
And we're happy to tell you that both Jackie and Darvion finished their studies last spring at KIPP and are enrolled at Harding Charter Preparatory High School this fall. A pathway, KIPP Academy Principal Tracy McDaniel says, is the goal for every student who walks through his doors.
Still to come on Oklahoma Horizon, learning the beat of success. But first, a commitment to excellence.
When a student signs up to attend KIPP Academy, they first must sign a commitment to excellence contract, an agreement that is also signed by the student's parents and their teachers, highlighting that at KIPP there's a shared responsibility and accountability for a student's success.
Adonis Lewis is passionate about teaching because he knows what's at stake.
There's not an option not to do this work because you see that your presence is absolutely needed. You see what the consequences and fully understand what the consequences are for your absence.
Adonis came to KIPP Academy as part of the Teach for America program, but after his commitment was up, he stayed and is now the school's assistant principal.
Part of the asset that I feel that I have is that I serve as a mirror and a window to students. It's not very likely that they're going to have a teacher who looks like them. I feel like 24-year-old black male teaching students who I can really relate to, and I think that they will appreciate it later, and I think that there's just value to it.
And Adonis says KIPP helps students see past the struggles that are often all around them.
Their reality is that they don't see the opportunities that we see. They don't understand the significance of college if no one in the household has gone to college. So when we're saying education is important so that you can get to college, well, what's college? So there is a lot of explaining that we have to do to get kids to understand why it is important, and the significance of college and the fact that it brings opportunity.
By experiencing educational success here at KIPP, pushing students to dream big, no matter their background.
I would phrase it as an opportunity gap between those who have the opportunity to go off and do things in life and then those who don't, because the demographic does not determine destiny.
If you prove yourself that you can be better than what you want, that tears on everything that they believe in.
And it's seldom easy. Often, students have some catching up to do once they get here.
Boarding schools and other schools come and look at us.
By the time they get to me, they've had a year of KIPP, and with them coming 2-3 years behind sometimes, 1 year is not enough. A small portion of them are on grade level, but my goal is to grow each of the students 2 years.
And while some students are playing catch-up, others are high performers, like Danae Johnson's daughter, Layla.
I need my child to be in an environment where she can be challenged, she can be encouraged, and she won't feel somehow minimized because of her race. So KIPP they've done a great job in getting diversity in the staff, in the teaching body. There are a lot of other schools you can go to that are very high performing, but they don't have African American teachers. So I think that that's very important.
Danae is a law professor at Oklahoma City University and says the choice of sending Layla to KIPP is all about educational outcomes.
They're talking through their minds. It was a hard decision for my husband and I. We are not from Oklahoma. We're always looking out for good educational opportunities. And when coming to a decision about middle school, a lot of people from Dove Science Elementary School were sending their kids to Classen, which started at 6th grade. So to remove Layla to come to KIPP at 5th grade was a big decision because we were separating her from her peer group. Layla was happy to go. Layla is into reading and education, so she's happy to give it a try. I think she's very pleased here. Before coming to KIPP, she didn't seem to enjoy reading. And when we got to KIPP in 5th grade, her teacher put her on a level and assigned some books, and I thought the books were too young for Layla, that they were not quite as advanced as my child was. And so Layla began to read these books and seemed to enjoy them, and then her reading just took off. She has skyrocketed as a reader, and I think it's because KIPP was able to take her a step back, allow her to enjoy the level that she's really at, and then encourage her to go further. So that's been really good. So now she's a super reader and she loves it.
High expectations, not just for students, but for parents as well.
It absolutely takes parental involvement. It absolutely does.
Absolutely. If you increase the expectations of the students, by definition, it increases the expectation on the parent. So I'm expected as a parent to get her here on time. And that everyone has to do that. But we start at 7:25. So she has to be here at 7:25. I think that's a big expectation. Layla has homework into the evening. She routinely is doing homework until 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night. And as a fifth grader, when they send the homework packet home, the parent has to sign the homework. So I have to actually take the time to look at that homework to see that it's done. So I think that that's an expectation that KIPP has that other places they don't have.
A dedication from parents and teachers alike to help students succeed in the classroom and prepare for later in life.
Lots of what we do is rooted in how does this apply to the real life? How is this going to be important later on? I think that if they can get a sense of why it would be important later on, it helps with the investment piece.
Creating an educational environment where high expectations are met with even higher results.
Try and move across the drawbridge to the kitchen yard.
So what are some of the methods that you use to reach these students?
Well, first of all, we build rapport with the kids when they get here, because no one wants to do more work. No one wants to go to school longer. No one understands, why. So we try to give them an answer to that. Why are we doing this? They do understand that in the area of sports at the same age. I mean, very well. And so we try to get them to understand the academic piece the same way. And so that's the trick, is trying to build a rapport, answering the why question, focus on college, and focus on what a college degree would mean to you and your community, and what happens if you don't. The kids know now that 10 years from now, the market, the job market is going to be incredible competitive. And so we talk about that at 5th grade, and that's what motivates those students to start believing. And then they see success. So once they see success, then it's kind of easy. So yesterday, we're testing, state testing, and we had 23 kids in the 7th grade classroom. And so you get the results at the end of the test. And so we don't know what the grades would be, but we know how many questions we got right. We had 3 kids out of that 23 made perfect scores on the state exam in reading. I had another 4 miss only 1 question. So they had 7 kids out of 23 in that one classroom that at least scored, a perfect score, either missed 1. That kind of test score would bring self-esteem really, really quickly. So all of a sudden now they know they're scholars. And so once they know they're scholars, then that mentality of a student changes. And that's you saw 8th graders today.
Let me talk a little bit more about the parents with you. While they may be, some of your parents may be underprivileged, they certainly can't be unmotivated if their students going here, right?
Well, no, I disagree with that.
Okay, well, I'm wondering, why is that?
So, because we have the same parents from the same schools in a city where the schools are not doing well. Matter of fact, we have siblings in elementary school. We'll have a sibling here, and we'll have another sibling in the high school. And so 2 of those 3 schools are low performing, but the parents are the same. And so I'm saying, and so when people make their statements like the parents are the difference maker, and I'm saying we love our parents, but we're still saying that it's what we do. It's the program we have. So when I say all of our kids are coming in, for the most part, 80%, 2 and 3 grade levels below in reading, they have that same parent with that same kid coming in the door. So we're trying to help this parent take your child to another level. And so I would say it's what we do. And then the parents, because the parents are the last group to buy on to what we do, because they think we're killing a kid, because the parents wouldn't want to go to work longer and didn't have work to do at home. No one does. So they kind of sympathize with their child in 5th and 6th grade quite a bit. I'm not complaining, but because that's just the way it is. They're not used to it. We have kids who come here sometimes, probably only had like 5 homework assignments for the year. Well, they have 5 homework assignments here for the first week. So that's it's like a paradigm shift with the parents. Once they make that shift by 7th grade probably, then you can say, boy, you got a motivated parent. But the parents want a safe environment. They know we have results, but they want a safe environment and they want their kid taught. But I will also say this, a lot of parents don't know that their kids are behind. So, for example, we get kids all the time making A's or B's in reading and math, receive the reading award for reading 50 books the year before. I look at the state data that comes back in the summer. I'm the first person to tell the parent, hey, your child failed the reading test last year. They say, couldn't be. My kid's an A student. My kid got a reading award. I said, well, I'm talking about comprehension on the state exam. So they looked at me and said, Tracy, you got to be wrong. They don't even know. And so, we got to educate our parents as well. And we use a lot of data to do that.
Want to share something you've seen here today? Well, all of our episodes are streaming on our YouTube channel at Oklahoma Horizon TV. Or you can subscribe to our weekly free podcasts on iTunes.
Well, of the KIPP students who have finished 8th grade, 1 out of 3 have gone on to get a college diploma, while another 5% have completed an associate's degree. And while that's above the national average and 4 times the rate for students from other low-income communities, it's still well below where the school wants to be. That's why KIPP Academy encourages former students who have gone on to college to come back and take part in the classroom, giving students their role models to learn from. Our Lisa Hines has the story of a young lady who spends her college breaks right back where her educational success began.
There's a whole lot of chanting going on at KIPP Academy.
So when I come back, I chant with the students.
Aneta Obichi Olaru is a former student at KIPP and says the chants really help students with math.
The 5th graders have their math test. They have their math OCTT next week. So I do chants with them to get them ready for their math test. So they have like their factors, they roll their numbers, their 9s, their 8s, their 6s, etc. So that when they get to the multiplication on the OCCT, it'll be easier for them.
Aneta says the culture here is very important.
I always tell people KIPP is life. I always tell them that. Like, if you just stay here for a day, you'll get stuck on the culture to learn. I think the culture is the key to the education. I think it's just the KIPP culture. You fall in love with it, you get stuck, and you just have a desire to learn.
It's the reason Aneta is where she is today.
Before I came to KIPP, I had never passed the state test before. So when I came here, they were looking out for me because I was so far behind. Like, I had made 50s on everything, and I thought that was okay. So when I got to KIPP, I scored advanced on everything. I made a perfect score on my 8th grade math test. I only missed 1 on my algebra test, so it was very different, my education experience after coming to KIPP, from coming from an elementary school that was on the warning list to coming to KIPP that they had just got their charter when I came here. It was definitely hard. Just coming from the elementary school that I came from, it was, I say the hardest thing about transitioning to KIPP was the rules. They have a lot of rules. They don't seem necessary. Tucking in your shirt, you have to wear a belt. You can only wear these colored shoes, stuff like that. They don't seem necessary, but I understand why they're there. They're there so that you'll have more time to focus on your education.
An education that has her giving back to other young students while away at college.
Well, right now at KIPP Believe in New Orleans, I volunteered there and I work with the 7th and 8th grade. So I feel like I have a connection with 7th and 8th grade. Because right around, I say the 7th grade, I was kind of off on my path. I struggled here 6th and 7th grade, specifically 7th grade. So I work at KIPP Believe in New Orleans with their 7th graders, mostly with like discipline problems and goal settings. And I think right around the 7th grade, you should like have your goals in line for high school and for your future. So that's why I want to teach 7th and 8th grade.
It's an education she strongly believes in.
It's fine education for free. It's more than fine education. They teach you life lessons.
Life lessons for Aneta and everyone she comes in contact with.
Now, Lisa tells us that upon graduation, Aneta hopes to return to teach full-time at KIPP. Next time on Oklahoma Horizon, as we pause to give thanks with family and friends, our focus will be on some Oklahomans who have lived their lives helping others.
The best thing you can do to help yourself is to help somebody else. And that if you can help somebody else, then you can help yourself.
Living a life full of Thanksgiving on Oklahoma Show for the Heartland, Oklahoma Horizon. Well, walk the hallways of KIPP Academy, and they are surprisingly quiet. No slamming lockers, no horsing around, just students moving on to their next class. It's an educational culture unlike any I've ever seen before, where a student's success is directly tied to hard work and, just as importantly, higher expectations. School days at KIPP are 2 hours longer than average, and homework is the rule rather than the exception. Now, I do understand that in public schools, not every student could meet these expectations. But what if we tried? Sure, there will be some failures, like in every aspect of life, but also some fabulous success stories like we've seen today. I'm Rob McClendon. Thanks for watching. See you back here next week.
Thank you for watching Oklahoma Horizon.